Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Tony. Woo.
Hello and welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. Last week, I let you guys in on the free Gut Healthy Masterclass that my good friend Jamie and I hosted. And this week, this episode right now that you're listening to, I'm sharing part of the second half to that masterclass. So part of that second half to that masterclass was where I really explained how your relationship with food and your relationship with your body and your body image affects your gut health. So it was really incredibly valuable. I could not share it with you guys. So here it is for you here. You're about to listen to it in a second. A couple of things, because at the end, we're just going to say bye-bye, no outro or anything separate. So you're going to hear it and you're going to feel like you're being left hanging a little bit. So with that said, if you want the full masterclass from beginning to end, email me tipswithtony@gmail.com, tipswithtony@gmail.com, and I'll get that over to you. I also make mention of a free mindful eating download. If you want access to that, email me as well, tipswithtony@gmail.com. Towards the end, you might feel inclined to apply to the 6 Months to Food Freedom program. So I want to provide that information with you, where you can go to tipswithtony.com/coaching to learn more about that and get your applications in. I will tell you that around when this episode comes out is when the applications start to pour. Most people in the summer, they're kind of like, after Labor Day weekend, I'm going to start. I'm telling you right now, start now. Now is always the best time to start, because if you can navigate through the hustle and bustle and transition of going back to school, going back to work, going back to having the kids be at school, whatever part of that crazy season in your life, if you can navigate your health and take care of yourself then you can do it now, and you can do it then, and you can do it later, and you can do it whenever. And now is the time to do it. So go to tipswithtony.com/coaching to learn more about what it would look like for us to help you heal your relationship with food, improve your body image, and have that also affect your gut health if you have any sort of issues. And one more thing before you go and have a listen. At the very end of this recording, you're going to hear that I make mention of making yourself a mineral mocktail at the end of the night. So that's the part of the recording that I actually cut out where I shared about Jamie. So you didn't hear that part, because like I said, I didn't want to provide everything, because I didn't want it to be unfair for those who took the time out of their schedule to watch us live. Now, with that said, if you're willing to go that extra mile to email for the recording, I think it's fair that we can give you access to it. But for those of you who did not get a chance to do that, I'm giving you the opportunity to be able to go back and listen now. So with that said, we talk about mineral mocktails and how they can be really, really great. Obviously because they're alcohol free, but also just because they can really impact and improve your gut health after an extended period of time. So with that said, my good friend Bridget, she's also a registered dietitian. She specializes in gut health as well. She has her supplement line called Gut Personal. It's incredible. They have the magnesium that is a powder, and you mix it in water and you just drink it as that. And that in itself is okay. I'm going to be fully transparent. It's not terrible, but when you mix it with coconut water, wowie. It is incredible. And it makes the mineral mocktail even better, because now you have two minerals, the potassium from the coconut water and then the magnesium, obviously, from the magnesium supplement. They also have a pill form if you don't want to do the powder, but I really think that if you're someone who's trying to cut back on alcohol use, or you just want to improve your gut health and you want to try those mineral mocktails, totally go to Gut Personal right now. Get the magnesium, get the powder one. If you want to try it with the coconut water, it's thebomb.com. Not kidding. So good. And don't forget to use Tips with Tony 10 at checkout to save 10%. So I'll put the link in the show notes for that. Make sure you go over to gutpersonal.com, get yourself those magnesium supplements, whether you do the powder or the pill. It is a game changer. And use Tips with Tony 10 at checkout to save 10%. All right. So without further ado, here you go. Here is part 2 of the Gut Healthy Masterclass, where I speak particularly to how your relationship with food and your relationship with your body image affects your gut health. Enjoy. My specialty, and this specialty of the Tips with Tony team, is really helping people change their mindset, their relationship with food. Because as Jamie had noted, it really actually, like, how you view food in the brain, if you're stressed out, you're not going to digest your food well, right? So it really does affect so much. If you're rushing from A to B, then you're probably not in that rest and digest state, right? If you're not really chewing your food, it's going to be harder to digest. So these are the areas in which we really help people to not only live a more, confident life, a happier life, a more quality rich life, but also help in the added benefit is when you implement these things, your gut health is likely going to skyrocket as well. So the very first concept we really need to understand, and I know it's not as easy as just sharing it here with you guys in this 1-hour masterclass, but it's truly understanding that there are no good or bad foods. And so what do we mean by that? You are not a good person because you ate your broccoli, and you are not a bad person because you had a cookie. Your moral compass, your values, they do not change based on how you eat. And the reason why we first have to understand that is because if you have this idea that I should eat this or I shouldn't eat this, and then you go and have the thing you thought that you quote unquote shouldn't have had, now you have that guilt and that shame spiral leads to so many things. Number one, you're obviously stressed out in your brain. Number two, now you might go into that screw it mindset where you don't even care. Even if you know that certain foods, maybe they do bother you, or you know that a more balanced diet is going to help your gut symptoms, you're in that screw it mode. So you're not even trying to take care of yourself, right? Or you're doing what Jamie had shared before, which is you're now restricting a lot, eliminating a lot, and not getting proper nutrients. And now you're just adding to the deficiencies, right? So we really need to put all food on that neutral playing field and understanding that they're not good or bad, but more so there are going to be some foods that make you feel better, more energetic. And so therefore we want to choose those foods most often. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about what that can look like for you. But this quote here is what I share a lot. And it's your mindset behind your food choice matters so much more than the food choice itself. Okay. So if your diet, you could be eating the quote unquote healthiest meal ever, but if you've been stressing about it all day long, you had to measure it, you had to weigh it, you had to make sure it fit perfectly in your calories. You're worrying, is this enough? Is this too much? I'm not sure. Should I have had that? Shouldn't I have that? Oh, is this just right? And you're stressed about it. Well, now you're not in that rest and digest phase, right? You're in that stress state phase, and your digestion is going to be impacted because of it. Okay. So give yourself permission to eat whatever it is, whether you're making a confident choice to have maybe a very nutrient dense salad, or you're deciding, you know what, I'm going to allow myself to have this ice cream right now. It's giving yourself full permission, because that is actually where it begins. It's in your mindset. Okay. The other thing we really encourage is eating balanced meals. So very, very often, a lot of people will come to us struggling with nighttime snacking or emotional eating or binge eating or overeating on the weekends and feeling like they got it together, maybe Monday through Thursday from like 9 to 5. And then everything around that is just a giant shit show, excuse my French. But it's because we have this fear, this pursuit of, usually it's tied to this pursuit of extreme quote unquote health or weight loss, or this dieting that we think is the healthy thing to do. And now we're afraid that if we overeat, that we're not going to get X outcome. But unfortunately, that fear is actually what is causing you to make it very difficult for you to implement what it is you need in order to be successful, whether that's in your health goals or your gut health goals, or even a weight management goal, right? So this fear of overeating is actually what's causing you to overeat. So very often we encourage our clients to have it's just a basic, and this is everyone's different. You probably need more than this, but just to start, 3 balanced meals per day. So what does a balanced meal include? We usually encourage a carbohydrate, a protein, a fat, and then some sort of nutrient dense option like a fruit or a vegetable. If you can try to achieve that at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, well, then a couple things are going to happen. Number one, you're less likely to be malnourished because hopefully you're getting a variety of carbohydrates, a variety of proteins, a variety of fat, different fruits, different vegetables that all contain different nutrients. And then you're also actually probably eating adequate calories. So when you eat adequate calories, your body is no longer stressed out, right? And in that stress state where it's feeling like, oh, you're not feeding me enough. And it's also, if you incorporate, especially what Jamie said before, like those fiber-rich carbohydrates, right? So those foods that contain fiber usually are carbohydrate-rich. And you have those at every single meal, and you have maybe let's say a fist-size amount at each meal. That's going to, when you pair that with your fat and you pair that with your protein and you have your nutrients, that's actually going to keep your blood sugar stable, which also makes your body feel like, oh, I'm being fed. I have enough energy, right? Because carbohydrates are our body's most preferred fuel source, right? So a body can like chill knowing that it's getting fed, it's getting carbs, you're no longer starving it. It's not going to have to have loads of caffeine in order to get its energy because you're giving it fuel through your food. Okay. So that's why we're big believers in eating 3 balanced meals. Okay. Now the mindful eating, this is everything, right? It starts where Jamie did a great job explaining digestion from, top to tail, talking about where your mouth and all the way down. And so your mouth actually really is the place where we really have to start thinking of digestion. And then even beyond that, from our head, eating mindfully, just sitting. I love that Jamie said she's not a big believer in eating on the go. I'm really not either. And it might not always be practical, but if you could at least sit for one of your meals, just one a day. If you could commit to sitting for one of your meals a day, it's going to be a game changer. Because if you think about it, I like to always give this example. I don't know if you guys can see me. I think you probably can. If it's in speaker view, you probably can see me. So if I'm stressed out and I'm standing, I'm usually like all of my energy is up here in my shoulders. I'm tense. I'm holding it, right? But when I sit down, take a breath, it grounds me. And now I went from that fight or flight mode, which is considered like the sympathetic state of your nervous system, to I breathe. And now I'm in the parasympathetic part of my nervous system, which is that rest and digest. So it's like literally telling you, okay, I'm ready. My body is ready. Okay. Now, when you use your 5 senses, it really helps you to slow down. So when I say use your 5 senses, I mean, look at your food. So using your eyes, taste your food. What does it taste like? Is it salty? Is it sweet? Chew your food and chew it well, right? And as you're chewing it, what does that feel like on the teeth? Or what does it feel like when you swallow it? Does it make a sound, right? Can you hear anything? And even if you're like touching your fork, or if it's, maybe you're having a sandwich, what does it feel like in your hands? Using your 5 senses makes you present. It's also very grounding. And believe it or not, you for those of you who struggle with meditation, you can meditate while you eat. That's your version of meditation. And I would say killing 2 birds with 1 stone, but really you're planting 2 trees with 1 seed, right? It's a more optimistic way of looking at it. So Christina's going to get you download your free mindful eating guide. It is a really simple, easy, almost like a checklist for you to be able to, go through and just make sure you're sitting for your meals, make sure you're using your 5 senses, you're removing distractions, you're checking in with your hunger, you're checking in with how you're feeling, right? Even just acknowledging your feelings. So if you are one who struggles with emotional eating, if you acknowledge, I'm stressed right now, maybe you need to take like three big deep breaths and get yourself into that rest and digest phase before you start eating. That can also be really, really helpful. So speaking of stress, it's not stress that kills us. It's our reaction to it, meaning that we live in a life where stress is going to happen. It's very normal. It's not really even a bad thing. It's questionably bad. It's bad when it goes too much and you're not managing it well. And I think a lot of people, when they think of stress management, I think they think of two things, and it's like one extreme or the other. So it's like their version of stress management is like excessive alcohol intake, binge watching Netflix, emotional eating, right? And then we have like the flip side where you might think of it in a more productive way of like, going on a retreat and shutting out the world and never speaking to anyone for a little bit and just like completely going on vacation and coming back, which they both have like their purposes and they both can be helpful. But I think the real thing is like, what can you do on a daily basis? And we definitely don't want like, drinking alcohol or emotional eating or binge watching Netflix, those things to be like your main thing, right? We want to put more tools in your toolkit. So in the 6 months of food freedom program, this is a big thing that we work on with clients is we will really get them to, maybe explore journaling or, 5 minutes of meditation or being in nature or just saying no to over putting on their plates, like not putting too much, meaning like too many to-do list on their plate, like shortening their to-do list, right? So managing your stress in a productive way is going to really help you to digest your food better. And it also, obviously, you're just going to be happier and healthier, right? And then this is where it might not appear to be like, how can wearing clothes that fit me help with my gut health, right? It seems like a big stretch, but the reality is that we told you in the beginning, even before you guys got on here, we marketed it to you that we're going to help you go from bloated to confident, right? And so when we are feeling bloated, we're not feeling very confident, right? When we're wearing clothes that don't fit us, that feel tight and snug, our brain immediately goes to, what should I take out? How hard should I work out? I need to go on a crash diet, right? It actually just leads to more harm than good, right? So this quote by Kristen Neff is something I found that really, really helped me to even like have this kind of sink in, and I hope it helps you. So unlike self-criticism, which asks if you are good enough, self-compassion asks what's good for you. And I think that just by accepting where you're at and trying to, and wearing clothes that fit you is much bigger. It's more of just saying like, this is where I'm at right now, and I'm working on figuring it out. When you go into that self-critical mode, it's not really going into that problem-solving mode. If anything, it does go into that fix-it mindset. But what Jamie had described earlier, which I loved, it's really just getting to the root of the why. So get more exploratory and get more compassionate, because when you come from a place of compassion and acceptance, you actually start to ask yourself, what's good for me, right? What can I do? What small shifts do I need to make to help me to digest my food better, right? Maybe I need to get better sleep. Maybe I need to eat those balanced meals. Maybe I need to make myself a wonderful mineral mocktail, which, by the way, if you're trying to cut back on drinking, guys, it's summer, it happens. And depending on your relationship with alcohol, it's fine. But you might want to try out a mineral mocktail to kind of swap that out at the end of the night. And you'll start to find that, you know what, this actually works just as well. And if not, I actually feel much better. So to close, we're definitely going to leave time for questions, but I just wanted to remind you guys that I think when people think of what keeps the gut healthy, they focus solely on diet. But when we now see, it really comes down to, an overall total wellness approach, and your mindset really, really does matter if you're trying to get those long-term results.